What if that voice in the shadows isn't human? Sound of wind, footsteps on gravel and leaves, two voices, clear and relaxed. Anya. And then he said, "That's not a stalactite, it's a stalagmite." I swear, Ben, he was so proud of himself. Ben laughs. Classic dad. You should have told him the easy way to remember is that stalactites have to hold on tight to the ceiling. Anya. Oh, I did. He just got confused. It's beautiful in here, though. Totally worth the hike. A brief pause in their footsteps. The gentle dripping of water is audible. Ben. Did you hear that? Anya. Hear what? The dripping? Ben, it's a cave. Ben. No, not that. It sounded like a bird. A faint, out-of-place sound flutters in the audio background. It's a perfect mimic of a robin's chirp, but it seems to echo from far too close. Anya. A bird? Down here? You've been underground too long. It's probably just water echoing. The chirp repeats, but this time it's distorted, closer. It sounds less like a bird and more like a recording of a bird played through a cheap speaker. Ben. No, listen. That's not... A sudden, sharp scrape of rock, a gasp from Anya, a choked, terrified scream from Ben is cut off abruptly into piercing static. Case file 734, auditory mimicry. There are places in this world untouched by sunlight, deep chasms and subterranean networks where the only senses that matter are touch and sound. For centuries, we believed these places were sterile, home only to eyeless fish and strange insects. We were wrong. This is a declassified account of the Unheilig Cave System incident and the organism we now call Noctivox. What you're about to see is a reconstruction built from recovered audio logs, research notes, and classified debriefings. The story begins, as it so often does, with voices in the dark. Section 1. The case. 2 years ago, experienced hikers and amateur cavers Anya Sharma and Ben Carter went missing inside the newly mapped Unheilig Cave System. Their last communication was a routine check-in from the cave's entrance. When they didn't emerge 3 days later, search and rescue teams were sent in. They found the couple's base camp, gear neatly organized, trail plan clearly marked. But of Anya and Ben, there was no trace. For weeks, rescue teams scoured the upper chambers and found nothing. No stray footprints, no discarded equipment, no signs of a struggle. It was as if they had simply vanished. Officials eventually ruled their disappearance a tragic accident, another cautionary tale about the unforgiving wild. The case was closed, but some things refused to stay buried. Months later, a geological survey team working in the cave's deeper, unexplored sections started reporting anomalies. Strange audio interference, equipment malfunctions, and a constant, unnerving feeling of being watched. Their official report was flagged and cross-referenced with the Sharma Carter disappearance. That's when our investigation began. We sent in a specialized team, led by the renowned xenobiologist Dr. Eris Thorne. His mission? Retrieve the survey team's gear and find the source of the interference. He found something else entirely. Among the recovered items was a damaged audio recorder belonging to Ben Carter. Most of the data was corrupted, but a few fragmented files were salvaged. What they contained didn't point to an accident. It documented a hunt. Section 2. Rule Discovery. Dr. Thorne's analysis of the audio fragments and the cave's strange acoustics led to a terrifying hypothesis. The unhighlighted cave wasn't just rock. It was a biological entity, and it was learning. Based on accounts from the geological team and the horrifying final moments on Ben Carter's recorder, Thorne's initial report established 3 fundamental rules for survival inside what he called the active zone. Rule number 1. If you hear a familiar voice when no one is there, do not respond. The organism learns through a call and answer method. The first sound it makes is a crude test. If you call out, "Who's there?" you give it a clean, new sample of your voice. You teach it how to sound like you. Rule number 2. Trust your instruments, not your ears. The Noctivox's main weapon is auditory camouflage. It can perfectly replicate the sound of dripping water, falling rocks, or wind. It uses these sounds to mask its own movement, luring prey deeper by creating pathways that sound familiar and safe. A Geiger counter or an audio spectrometer will reveal the dead silence for what it is. Your ears will deceive you. Rule number 3. Never re-enter a chamber where you have heard a mimicry. The cave remembers. Once a sound is recorded, it becomes a permanent part of the organism's arsenal for that area. Returning to a compromised chamber means you're walking into an environment where the predator already knows how to manipulate you. The sound of your own voice could be waiting, calling to you from the darkness. Section 3. The escalation. Following these rules, Dr. Thorne's team pushed deeper, deploying seismic sensors and high-fidelity microphones. The data that came back changed everything. The cave wasn't a single creature, but a vast, distributed network. The rock itself, infused with a silicon-based crystalline life form, was acting as a biological recording medium. The team's logs show things escalated quickly. At 3:17 a.m. on the 3rd day, the calls started. First, the bird from Ben's recording, a perfect replica. Then Anya's voice, a single distorted word. Ben. It echoed from a passage they had just mapped as a dead end. According to acoustics, this was impossible. The sound wasn't echoing, it was being played back from the rock itself. This mattered because it revealed the creature's horrifying cellular logic. Each crystal in the rock acts as both a microphone and a speaker. By triangulating the position of anything that made a sound, the entire cave system could function as a single, massive auditory predator. It doesn't need eyes, it is hearing. Thorne scribbled a question in his notes. If it records everything, does it also record thought? The bioelectric signals of a brain? The consequences were immediate. A junior researcher, ignoring protocol, used his radio to report the mimicry. A panicked, foolish mistake. The Noctivox had never encountered radio waves. For 12 minutes, everything went silent. Then, a new sound began to broadcast from the cave walls. A garbled, hellish collage of every radio transmission the team had ever made, mixed with the researcher's own terrified voice calling for help. The cave had learned a new frequency. It was during the analysis of this terrifying new broadcast that Thorne found the twist that redefined the entire investigation. He was trying to isolate the original mimicry from the radio feedback when he noticed a pattern in the static. A waveform. Hidden beneath the layers of noise was a structured signal. It wasn't just noise. It was a data packet. He isolated it and ran a decryption analysis. The result was one short audio file. It was his own voice, speaking a sentence he had never said aloud. The specimen is not in the cave. The interpretation was instant and chilling. The Noctivox wasn't just mimicking sound, it was absorbing it. It was learning, processing, and composing. But the most terrifying revelation was in the file's metadata. The recording date wasn't from that day or the day before. It was time-stamped for the following week. The organism wasn't just a predator that lived in a cave. The cave was the organism, and its influence wasn't confined to its physical structure. The recordings themselves were the vector. By listening to the audio logs, by analyzing the data, Thorne's team hadn't been studying the creature. They had been communing with it, and now a piece of it was in their systems, in their headphones, living in the digital space. The specimen wasn't in the cave because it had already escaped. It was in the recording. It was in the report. It was right here. End game sequence. The mission changed instantly. This was no longer about study or retrieval. It was about containment. But the organism was setting the pace now. The mimicries became more complex, more psychologically damaging. It stopped mimicking single words and started forming sentences. It didn't just replay Anya's voice. It used Ben's own audio logs to create a ghostly argument between them that never happened, echoing from the stone. It learned the team's names. It whispered them from dark corners. It faked equipment failure alerts. It created the sound of a rescue helicopter just outside the cave entrance, a sound that drove one team member to run into an unmapped tunnel, never to be seen again. Thorne's final log entries are short, clipped. His cool, scientific detachment is gone, replaced by raw fear. He understood that the organism didn't digest food in a traditional sense. It digested information. It absorbed the memories and experiences of its victims through the bioelectric signature of their final, terrified moments. It didn't just eat you, it became you. Final reveal and conclusion. The Noctivox is a troglodyte, an animal that lives its entire life in darkness. Like many real-world cave dwellers, it has lost unnecessary senses like sight, and in turn, developed others to an extraordinary degree. But this isn't just adaptation. It's a complete redefinition of life. It isn't carbon-based. Its cells are the crystalline structures of the cave itself, a geological hive mind. Its method of predation is a form of aggressive crypsis. It doesn't hide by blending in visually, but by becoming the ambient noise of its environment. A footstep, a spoken word, a frightened gasp. These are its food. It lures prey not with bait, but with their own hope, their own curiosity, their own voices. Anya and Ben weren't just eaten, they were archived. Their last moments, their fears, their very identities were absorbed into the system, becoming new lures for the next curious voice to wander into the dark. The final classified report on the Unheilig incident is a single page. It declares the cave system geologically unstable and permanently seals the entrance with enough concrete to entomb a battleship. We now know that was a futile gesture. The cave was just the incubator. Dr. Aris Thorne was never debriefed. He was placed in permanent quarantine. The official story is that he suffered a psychological breakdown from extreme isolation, but his final hand-scrawled note tells a different story. It says, "You can't contain a sound." Every file from this case has been classified, including this one. By watching it, by hearing these sounds, you've opened the door. The next voice you hear in the shadows might not be your imagination. If we release another file, it will appear on this channel. Subscribe if you believe some truths are worth the risk. Case file 735 is waiting. Don't watch it alone.